Hello everyone, I'm back with another video tutorial. This time it is for the Time for Change Zippy Pouch by Sew HungryHippie. This is a cute little pouch. As you can see, it's pretty small. It's great for your change or any little pieces that you have in your purse that you want to put inside a pouch that you don't want to have to dig for at the bottom of your bag, like say a little lip gloss or anything like that. Cute little pouch, a very quick sew. So I'm going to show you how to make this right now. First thing you need to do is cut out your pattern pieces. So I've cut out two sets here just so I can show you on camera how these sew up. So I have one with vinyl and no fleece. I have one that is quilt cotton and I've attached the fleece to it. So the instructions are given in the pattern for how to cut the pattern pieces and the measurements for your zipper tape. That is all given in the pattern, so you'll want to refer to the pattern for what sizes to cut everything. So let's get started. First thing you need to do is take your zipper tabs and fold them. I've already gone ahead and folded all mine and pressed them all, but what you do is you have a piece that's a little square. You're going to fold it in half and create a crease in the center. Then you're going to open it up and fold the long edges into the center, in to meet the center, just like this. And you're going to press that and then fold it all back up to create a small piece just like this, and it hides all your raw edges. Next, you're going to take your zipper and insert it into the zipper tab all the way until it hits the crease, pin it in place, and then you will sew this with the seam allowance given in the pattern. So you'll sew both sides, so the zipper tabs are on both sides of the zipper tape. So just like that. This is a number 3 zipper, in case you're wondering what size zipper this is. This is a number 3 zipper, and again, she gives you the measurement for the zipper in the pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch these with the seam allowance she gives in the pattern. Once you have the zipper tabs attached to your zipper, we're going to trim these so that they are even with the zipper tape. So just use your scissors and just trim it even with the zipper tape. If you're not comfortable using your scissors and you'd rather use a rotary cutter, you can go ahead and use a rotary cutter. Do whatever you feel comfortable doing. And that's how it'll look once you have everything all trimmed up. They're even with the sides of the zipper. Next thing we need to do is attach our zipper to our exterior. So we're going to find the center mark of our zipper and mark it. And you also want to find the center of your exterior zipper panels and give that a mark as well. I'm just using a pencil. It's going to be within the seam allowance, so that's okay. I'm not too concerned. It'll be sewn in the seam allowance. You won't see it. So I'm going to mark all my exteriors and my lining pieces with the center mark. Usually I like to do this before I start sewing, right after I cut everything out. I forgot to do it this time. But usually I like to prepare this all before I start sewing everything so that I'm not worried about doing this once I do get going. It's already done. Okay, so now we need our exteriors. We're going to attach our zipper, lining up those center marks we made. So your zipper is going to be right sides together with the right side of the exterior. Clip it in place. And now we're going to sew this edge with the seam allowance given in the pattern. So you'll want to refer to the pattern for the seam allowance you need to sew that with. And you're just stitching along the zipper. When you get to your zipper head, you'll want to slide it out of the way so that it doesn't get in the way of your zipper foot. There we go. They're both attached to the exterior. Now we need one of our linings. So we're going to grab our lining, match up those center marks, Pin it in place. And then we'll also sew this with the seam allowance given in the pattern. And you're going to sew right across the whole edge. So from edge to edge, from side to side, you're going to sew right across that whole edge. Now that we've done that, we're going to give this a press so that it is away from the zipper. So you want to press it so the fabrics are wrong sides together. So I'm going to go do that and I will be right back. So because I'm using vinyl for one of them, I can't press the vinyl. However, I pressed on the lining side, and then while the lining was still hot, I just finger pressed my vinyl down like that, just so that it gets a nice crisp edge at the top here. So now we're going to top stitch these with the seam allowance given in the pattern, and you're top stitching all the way across. These are now top stitched. Now we're going to repeat those same steps for attaching the exterior and the lining to the zipper. So again, line up the centers of the zipper with the center mark you made on your exterior. Pin it in place and then sew across the top of the zipper. Now I'm going to attach my lining to my remaining exterior and zipper. And I'm going to sew across that edge using the seam allowance given in the pattern. We're going to repeat the same steps as pressing this, and then we will top stitch this top edge here after we've given it a press. So I'm going to go press my pouches now. Now I've pressed them, I'm going to go ahead and top stitch both. Again, all the measurements and seam allowances are given in the pattern. Next, we need to sew our lining and exteriors together. So you'll want to go ahead and open your zipper. This is how you're going to be able to turn it. If you don't leave your zipper open, it's going to be a little bit harder to maneuver that zipper open while you have everything sewn. So we're going to clip our exteriors right sides together, line up the edges, the sides and the bottom and your corners, and pin it all the way around. Then you want to line up the bottom of your lining and the corners as well. Make sure everything lines up nicely, and pin all the way across and on the sides. You'll want to make sure your seam where you have your exterior and lining touching, that those line up. So put a pin there and make sure those line up nicely. So now we're going to sew all the way around, all the sides, but you need to leave an opening for turning this little pouch right sides out. So you're going to start at the bottom. You'll want to leave a little gap here, just enough to be able to turn the pouch right sides out. So start back stitch and go all the way across, then at that corner turn and go all the way down the sides, across the bottom, back up the side, and come up back here and leave a little gap, again starting and stopping. What you can do to help you remember where to start and stop is just make a little mark, just like that. Just make two little marks to show you where to start and stop. So you can see I made one there and one right there. So go ahead and just make that. That'll remind you where to start and stop if you think you're going to forget. But again, that's just for being able to turn the little pouch right side out when we're done. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Just to note, at my corners, I like to back stitch. This just helps give some extra security in the corners when I'm turning the pouch right side out so that I don't accidentally pop those stitches. So there we go. I've sewn all the way around the pouch. when you're sewing where the zipper tabs are, you don't want to sew over the zipper tabs. You want to sew just beside them. So if you have a zipper foot, you'll want to use a zipper foot because that'll help you get nice and close without sewing over those zipper tabs. If you don't have a zipper foot, you may have a skinny foot. You can also use that. If you don't have either of those, that's okay. Just as you're approaching this, if you feel like you're going to hit the tabs, just slightly decrease your seam allowance a little bit just to get around that tab so you don't sew over it. This just helps those corners poke, or the tab corners, sorry, poke out a little bit nicer. So there's that one. I'm going to go ahead and sew this one too, and then I will show you what we need to do next. So now what you need to do is trim your corners here on an angle. Careful not to cut your stitches. This just helps turn the corners out nicer. If you really want, you can trim the seam allowances down as well. And now we're going to turn this whole pouch right sides out. Okay, so once you have them turned right side out, you can use a poking tool to get those corners poked out really nice. So you just take them and just carefully poke out the corners. That'll help them poke out nice so that you get a nice corner. Just be careful you don't break your stitches. That's why I like to do that extra stitching in the corner, just to give some extra strength there for when I'm poking my corners out. Also get your tab area where your zipper tabs are poked out as well. Once you have everything all turned and poked out, you're going to turn your lining opening that you left so that it's in. You can take this to your iron and give it a press. I'm just giving it a finger press. You can take this also to your machine and stitch, or you can hand stitch this opening closed, whatever you prefer. It's really a personal choice. I'm just going to stitch this with my machine. There we go. I've stitched it closed. If you would rather not have your stitches seen, again, you can hand stitch that closed or use a thread that matches. I personally don't mind because it's inside my pouch. Not a lot of people are going to really look at that. So push the lining back into your pouch. I really focus on those corners, getting those corners pushed into themselves. So there you go. There are your coin purses or your time for a change pouch. These are really quick, as you just saw, to sew. This one is vinyl with no interfacing. The only interfacing is a woven interfacing on my lining pieces. Still has a nice little structure because the vinyl adds that extra bit. And then you have the one that I did with fusible fleece on the quilt cotton. This vinyl is Natalie soft vinyl, and this is another fabric that I got from Natalie, so both available in her shop. I really love her soft vinyl. It's really nice to work with. As you saw, I can squish this up, no problem. I have no problem turning big bags with this. Really easy. I did sew with a regular foot. However, you may need to sew with a Teflon foot or a walking foot when you sew with this material. If you don't have either of those, you can go ahead and place a piece of painter's tape or masking tape on the bottom of your presser foot. That'll just help it glide over the material and not get stuck. And I used a regular 90-14 needle, and I used Gutterman thread. Again, use whatever you have. This is great for scrap busters, so if you have a bin of scraps, it's perfect for scrap busting, getting rid of all those scraps. Make some fun pouches, some really funky pouches. Just have fun with this, you know, different zippers, different zipper pulls. You can have so much fun with these pouches, and it's handy, great for putting in the bottom of your purse, like I said, for your change, or if you have lip glosses or anything else that you want to put in there. Kids really like these for all their little trinkets they have, even kids who collect rocks. Perfect little bag for collecting rocks. You can add a little wrist strap. Perfect little pouch for many uses. So again, this is the Time for a Change Zippy Pouch by Sew HungryHippie. I'll link to the pattern in the description of the video, and I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial and hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Bye.